Hello everybody. I am glad to introduce you our today's guest, who is David Krasovec, and he is PhD of History of Art from French University of Nancy and Strasbourg. Welcome.
Okay, welcome. Hello. I am David Krasovec. Yes, I was born in France. I am French. I made all my studies in France in Strasbourg University. Only for my PhD last year I was in Nancy. And then after my studies or during my PhD, I went to Slovenia. I studied languages and history of art. Okay, my only one specialty is history of art. And I live, and then after 17 years in Slovenia, Central Europe and Balkan. This combination, languages and history of art, gave me the possibility to study the influence of political ideologies on art, on cultures, and on languages, and on the formation of national identities. It is important to explain this. That's why I am working in RANEPA in Russia today.
As far as I know, David speaks 3 languages fluently, and this is his native language, and then French and Russian, but today we speak in English.
What it is important to say, at school I didn't like foreign languages, but then after I didn't have the choice. When I lived in Slovenia, I learned Slovenian languages. For me it was very difficult, but it is a Slavic languages, and after this it was not difficult to understand Russian and other languages from Central Europe. Today, yes, in this academy I am teaching in French, in Russian and in English.
Right. So let's switch to the question and to the problem of art and its understanding. So what exactly are you teaching? What are you trying to tell to the students?
My first subject, it is just French like foreign language. But my students are speaking very well French, and then the basis of our work, it is not the French grammar, but we are working with French text about actual problems in the world, not only in France. And after this, we are speaking yet about philosophical, political problems, about the French interpretations of the international politics, and so on.
What was the latest subject you discussed with your students? Well, French and Russia, well, in global politics and art. I mean, it sounds very huge.
Okay, more exactly. I am teaching, I spoke about international politics, but exactly I am teaching the methodology of geopolitics, and it is absolutely not the same. I don't speak about the men who are making the politics today. It is not my field. And for me it is more interesting to understand how an usual person in this world understand what is the perception of the world around. It is more to explain the psychology, how a person in one culture is making choices. And then art helps us to understand this position. Because art, it is just a relation. It is a relation between one person and the cultures. It is a relation between one person and the national identity.
I can't help but ask, what's your favorite art, or maybe artist? I'm sure there is a lot, but I mean, probably you can name top 5.
Okay, it is a personal question, it is a personal answer. I prefer the 16th century, the art of Italy and Central Europe, but like I said, it is just personal. It is because of the beauty, but because this period is very complex, like our world today. For example, at that time we didn't have states like today. And it is interesting to make the parallel what was the world, what was gold age of cultures without states, and what is today our world with states. The relations are absolutely different.
Right. So what are you teaching methods?
Message.
Yeah, what are you
Yes,
teaching message and methods and methodology? Because I mean, you have such a great, such a huge field to discuss, and a lot of personal perceptions is involved.
Yes, about okay, I don't have a message. For me, what is important, it is that students have new instruments to understand the world, new instruments for the perception of the contemporary problems. Methodology, it is another thing. Of course, I don't speak about art. I don't speak about the 16th century. We are speaking only, for example, why the cultural cooperation international is so important. Okay, my subjects are more connected with politics today or international affairs. Then I am working a lot with image. Not piece of art, of course, but just, for example, what is a map? We are seeing at the world different maps and what it means about the author of the maps. For example, why a country is red and the other countries are blue. Why this contrast is so aggressive, for example. Or why two presidents of two states have a meeting and why we have a piece of art on the same pictures. It is like semiology. We can analyze to what they are wearing, what they are speaking. Of course, I am working a lot with languages, how to speak, why to use one languages, how to make the choices of words, and so on. It is all connected together.
You mentioned new instruments that you are going to present to students. Can you name them, please?
Okay, like semiology, for example. Okay, it is intellectual instruments. It means not just to hear one politics or one expert and understand that the message, it is not what he was saying. It is more important to understand how he was speaking. Because when you are speaking, it is an interpretation. It is impossible sometimes in different contexts to say absolutely all what you wanted to say. And then you have to understand what this person was speaking. At the same time, you have to understand what he spoke about, but it was impossible to use the words.
I see. So we are speaking about soft skills, not versus hard skills, but anyway, that soft skills are very important, and one can't survive without them in the modern world.
Yes, of course, soft skills are more important. You have all the time, you have to understand what you don't hear, what you don't see, but all what you don't see at 1 second, what mass media don't want to show you, sometimes it is more realistic than one pictures.
Right, thank you. Can you tell me, is there a difference, or is there a big difference between students in RANEPA, let's say, and other countries where you had worked?
Today, with time, we have one trend for the evolution of universities. And I have to say that I am very gladly to work in RANEPA because RANEPA go to this direction. We have a lot of contact with international universities. And I have to say that there are not a lot of difference. Of course, they are. For example, here we have a very small groups of students, and that's very good. When in France, for foreign language, you have 40 students, here I have only 10 students. And that's a big difference. And in this university, we have a very great motivation by students. We can feel this, and like teacher, of course, it is very important. It is very important to speak with people who want to understand the world.
Well, I'm glad that you feel ambitions of the students who want to achieve something.
Yes, of course. And you have these small cultural differences. I am feeling that Russia, it is a great country. It is the country of Tchaikovsky, Tolstoy. Of course, my students are not Tchaikovsky or Tolstoy, but they're proud of these cultures and they want to be better. It is the same in France, but differently, because the French perception of the world, it is not exactly the same. Then in each country you have very good students. In each country students want to be the best, want to do something for the states, but even if each person differently interpret what it means to be the best.
In your work in Russia, what do you enjoy and what you probably don't enjoy?
Okay, what I enjoy, it is what I said now. I enjoyed a lot, of course, to teach in Moscow. Okay, before, 30 years ago, when I was a child in France, it was yet Soviet Union. Today, Russia is old only 26 years. It is a very young country. In this country today there is a lot of possibilities, new possibilities. And here I am feeling the evolution of globalization, but globalization positively, like an exchange, like new opportunities. And I understand that in this country the young generation want to build something new and very ambitious.
Right. And how do you enjoy life in Moscow?
Okay, Moscow, it is a fantastic town because I like cultures. I like opera, music, and theater. And in Moscow, you have theater or a music hall, not in each street, but it's in center on each second street. And it is not only my point of views, it is a point of view of a lot of artists and foreigners who are living in Moscow. All the artists are saying, French artists for example, a concert in Moscow, it was not like a concert in Paris, because what it is extraordinary in Moscow, the public, we have absolutely all the social classes. It is not art only for people who have money.
Sounds good. And maybe you can give some tip, some useful tip for foreign students, which gallery or museum to attend, probably after Tretyakov Gallery, Pushkin, etc. Maybe, because I believe you're an expert in small galleries or some like hidden places.
Okay, here I am very tolerant. I think that the access to cultures and to art, it is a personal question, but it is absolutely more important. It is what do you feel, what do you like? If you don't like art of 19th century, for me it is absolutely all the same, it is not important. If you prefer only what we are making only today, then in Moscow you have a lot of possibilities. In contemporary art, it is very developed. You have very young artists who are today only 18, 20 years old, and this scene, it is very interesting. Then, what it is fantastic today for tourism, cultural tourism, we have iPhones, smartphones. If you like something, you go to Google or Yandex, it is better in Moscow, and you have absolutely all informations. Then, not obviously very known museums. If you don't like museums, even if you can find a lot of things in Moscow who are very interesting.
Thank you very much. Maybe there is something I didn't ask, but you want to share with our audience.
Audience. Okay, I'm very glad to live in Moscow. I am teaching here for 3 years. Now it is the 4th year. I know that I will not stay all my life in Russia, but because it is my character, it is my personality. But those years in Russia are fantastic. Okay, because of the tone, because of the cultures, because of the seasons. Winter here is very beautiful. It is snowing, and the summer is fantastic too.
Thank you so much, and I hope, well, I wish you good luck and hope to see you again in our studio.
Okay, perhaps. And come in Russia. Welcome.